Late summer, year 8. Overgrown Chamberlain Pinfeather hasn't yet given up this game. We have started to one of our neighbors has cast something. I have cast Tartarian Gate to get some undead monsters, and again a couple units get killed by lightning. And Bogus decides to visit us. Bogus is a non-player character, hero, who sometimes shows up to do something, and it's generally not something a magic death god wants to see. At least I'm not using blood, so Bogus freeing some blood slaves is completely irrelevant. And we kill an adventurer from one of our neighbors. And our Raven Guard gets captured and eliminated. Well, again, having those stealthy armies is a good thing outside of a gimmick game where everyone has tons and tons of money to have tons and tons of units and province defense. I always want to say point defense. I'm playing too many space games apparently. So anyway, that's not that battle, I think. That was something else. Tons of astrals / air mages. That's not good. Oh, another castle is finished. Good, good, good. So anyway, where was I? Ah yes, I've started to go through with my plans. Mount Fiends, natural level 3 death mages are getting summoned, and more corpse constructs are being made in my secret factory province. Corpse constructs are kind of odd. They have more HP than most undead units. They are hard to kill, and if you attack them, then because they are basically Frankenstein's monster, you get shocked by the electricity which brought them back to life. Also, why are they odd? Well, they have some drawbacks. One, their magic resistance is really low. So every kind of spell which can hit and influence an undead will basically just rampage right through them. So, and point 2, instead of death gems, you need air gems, because you're basically using magic lightning to bring them back to life. So ironically, this is one good spell for a weird nation like Late Age Calum, because we have air mages, and most of the time they are also death mages. So since when you're running Late Age Calum, you will always be in trouble to have enough death gems to do everything you need to do just to stay alive. This is basically one of the things you should take in mind, because if you need lots of undead, then generally speaking, since you have tons of air magic available, you can just use air gems to get some of your undeads. And this is what I finally did after trying for nearly 90 turns to just go through with my death magic forever strategy. But I finally relented and started making cheap constructs. Also, I equipped this undead Cyclops who walked out of the Tartarian Gate with some random shit to see how effective he will be in battle. Also, I used death mages like the Mount Fiends to make some instant undead. That's something some undead mages can do. They can just make new undead. And here you see the corpse constructs. Spooky, but 0 protection, magic resistance of 4. That's not good, and they can basically hit for shit, and everything targeting them will hit them because their defense is also low. They're basically huge, lumbering, well, undead monsters. The only saving grace is the electroshocks they will give everyone touching them in close combat. And of course, we can make them for cheap. One thing I haven't mentioned yet, there are some air magic stuff you can forge which will give you similar electrical powers to your mages, but some of this stuff has a little clause somewhere in the description where it says something like, a mage equipped with this thing can make more course constructs. So what I'm doing while in between all of this is I've set some of my mages up to auto-forge additional crap and give it to the mages in my secret factory province. So not only are course constructs very cheap and use air gems, you can also give your summoners some items to get even more course constructs per game, which makes them really ridiculous cheap. If you start early enough, you can basically start crapping out infinite corpse constructs, which is something I hilariously can't really do in this game because, spoiler alert, the game ended long before I got even close to the 1000 I wanted to make per turn. I think when the game ends I only will be at something like 200, maybe 250 per turn, which is really nothing because I used still less air gems than my Death Nation got per turn. My goal was basically to keep equipping and sending mages with air paths into that factory province, and then keep upping the number until I finally equalize my air income with my air expense. But I still haven't gotten yet there, and I think I would have been close to something ridiculous like 400 per turn to even get that way. And if I had bothered to actually search intensively for more air sites, I was of course mostly searching for death, because obvious. And if I had searched for more air sites to get more air gem income, I would have ironically been able to get tons and tons of more undead. But anyway, it's my naivety speaking, but I think 300 to 400 per turn, especially since they cost me nothing except for air gems I can't really use with my little number of usable air mages, so I think that's impressive enough on its own. And hey, here, Undead Mastery was the name of the Undead Mastery spell, and something I've seen for a second before I started rambling over it without seemingly without noticing, was the Storm Spool. The Storm Spool is one of the items which gives your mages the ability, your Calum mages the ability to make corpse constructs, because I think that spell is only for Calum nations. So I don't even know if you get it in early and middle age Calum. I know for sure that it's something here in late age Calum. And it was funny enough to finally utilize this weird little spell. And besides, it's also hilarious to have tons of mages with Storm Spools equipped, because if some dumb unit assassinates them, they probably get fried just by touching the mage. Except of course if it's horrors or other strong monsters, then the Storm Spool doesn't really help. Now Dimu, the Tartarian spirit. Lots of fear, which doesn't help against undead, so since Bogarus uses tons of undead and since Scarf uses tons of undead, I have, I guess I could send them against Pangea, because I think at this point Pangea's player has mentally checked out already. Well, turn's over again. Let's see you next time, people. Liblo Ini out.